Van plant in Luton on the day workers here finally found out who the new owners will be. It'll be the Canadian firm Magna, the British Union's most feared. So what does it mean for the 2,500 workers here in this town? We'll be trying to get the answers.
Also in the programme, why this search and rescue...
Hello and welcome to the Vauxhall van plant in Luton. You know, this used to be a massive site. Now it's just Vauxhall vans that are made here, and we'll be having a look at those vans a little later in the programme. About 2,500 people work for Vauxhall in Luton, 1,500 here, and then there's headquarters and warehousing as well. And today they discovered the new owners will be Magna. We'll be talking to some of those workers here a little later in the programme. But first, Richard Bond on a decision that will affect here, made a long way away in Berlin.
Ja, guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren.
Announced in Berlin this afternoon, the deal the Germans were most keen on. GM Europe, which includes Opel and Vauxhall, will be sold to Magna, the Canadian car parts maker.
I can say that the decision of last night is very much welcomed by us, and this should set the signs for Europe and for Opel Europe.
The Germans like Magna because they believe it will protect German jobs. But what will it mean for Britain? GM employs 25,000 people in Germany, only 4,000 here. The worry is a deal bankrolled by the Germans will put British jobs at risk. Executives from Magna have already given the Luton plant the once-over. They visited in June. Unconfirmed reports say Magna will keep Luton open until at least 2013, but cut perhaps 350 of the 1,500 jobs on site. Crucial to the future is whether Luton continues to make vans for Renault.
They could pull out, but on the other hand, if Renault has a demand for those vehicles, then they'll surely want them built. And pulling out is a costly business for Renault too. They'd have to move the tooling, they'd have to find room elsewhere. It's very disruptive. In principle, I'm sure Renault would prefer to carry on.
We've made it clear to Magna that we stand ready to invest, but the question that we'll be asking is about the future of the UK plants. We've got a great Vauxhall workforce here in the UK. They make strong products, and we want to make sure that production continues in the future, and that's the question we'll be asking in the discussions about finance that are to come.
Details about what Magna will actually do in Luton could take months to emerge. Richard Bond, BBC Look East.
Well, let's find out just a little bit more about the van itself before we hear from some of the workers. They make about 300 a day here. That's about 1,500 a week. And, of course, they're used across the whole country and across the whole region by businesses. It's been Van of the Year 6 times. They make vans for Vauxhall, for Opel and also for Renault. Let's just have a look inside this one. You can see it's a fairly standard van, but a very popular one and a very successful one as well. This is what the workers had to say today about the decision that Magna were the buyers.
After months of speculation, workers finally found out today who their new owner was. Magna.
I have heard that, yes.
How do you feel about that?
Magna haven't made any promises with regard to the UK jobs, whereas they have guaranteed virtually most of the German jobs.
No way!
How do you feel about that?
It's bad news.
Why is that?
Well, it's bad news because that's what the Germans wanted.
Are you disappointed that GM didn't hold on to it?
In a way, yeah. But I worked at Vauxhall over the road. They didn't hold on to that.
Not good for us, is it?
Government have done a good thing.
Why isn't it good for you?
The government ain't done nothing.
At least the competition's over, isn't it? That we know where we stand. First. Secondly, they were strong from the beginning. They were the first. So hopefully we'll have a good future with them.
GM described the van plant in Luton as a model of productivity and quality.
But I think it would be unrealistic to expect that there won't be a restructuring, reorganising of the business, but we'd hope to minimise that and indeed keep on and keep the volumes going. Now that we're entering out of the recession, we'd like to think it would be a further pick-up.
There's already been a round of redundancies and pay cuts here. Anil Patel's newsagent relies on Vauxhall workers for business, but he's worried about the future and has now decided to sell up.
We really get, we finish, nearly finished, you know, because we pay 80,000 on this one. And I already put it for sale 2 weeks ago. Nobody come at all, nobody turn up, nobody get the loan. I had 1 or 2 buyers, but no, the bank don't lend the money.
The nitty-gritty of this deal is still to come out, but the fear is that jobs will still go here. But what's really worrying workers is what Magna intends to do with this plant long term. Mike Cartwright, BBC Look East, Luton.
Well, let's talk to an expert on the motors industry, Professor David Bailey. He's in Birmingham now. Professor, those workers are obviously concerned. Should they be?
Yes, I think they're right to be concerned, actually. The Magna deal was the one that, frankly, I didn't expect. But also they've indicated that they're looking to make 9,000 job cuts across Europe. Now, given that the German government is putting up €4.5 billion to support operations in Germany, that does raise the spectre of job cuts outside of Germany and potentially in the UK.
They've given assurances, haven't they, Magna, about the Astra, but they have only given assurances until 2013 here in Luton.
Yes, that's right. I think we'll see short-run production continuing, both of the new generation Astra, which begins very shortly up at Ellesmere Port, and also van production at Luton until 2013, albeit maybe not on the same scale. The big question really is about the future of the plant beyond 2013 and whether they'll continue to make vans here in the UK. And that's the big issue. And I think it's absolutely imperative now that the British government negotiates with the new owner, Magna, and does all that it can to retain production in the UK, both in terms of preserving high-quality jobs, but also very efficient plants. The Luton plant is very efficient.
People will say it's strange, isn't it, that we're concerned about the future of this plant when it's making the van of the year.
That's right. It's been very successful in terms of the product that it produces. The quality is good, the workers are efficient and flexible, and you would expect this to be a key part of Magna's European operation. However, the politics, in a sense, have got in the way of this. The German government is funding the operations in Germany. They've really been keen on preserving German jobs ahead of the German election. They're putting up a lot of money. So that's what makes these jobs in Britain now quite vulnerable. It's very important the government acts swiftly to try and secure them.
Short answer, has the government so far failed to help the people of Luton as much as they should have done?
I think they've been slow off the mark. I think they should have got involved earlier. The best option would have been keeping Vauxhall part of General Motors and access to that technology. That opportunity was lost. So from here on in, they've got to act quickly and they've got to make financial support available.
Professor Bailey, thank you very much for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
We'll be talking some more about what's happening here in Luton a little later in the programme. You may have heard an aeroplane go over as I was talking. We're just a few hundred yards from Luton Airport. But for now, back to the studio and Amelia.
Thanks, Stuart.